Thank you that I can be here. My name is Marlies in Switzerland. I come from there, but when I went to Baba, it was about 20 years ago, no more, 50 years ago, I went to Baba and he just was laughing and said, "What? This is not your name, Marlies. I will call you Janki." So since then, I like to use this name in India. Yes, and how I came to Baba is actually a big story and not a big. I don't know where to start. Maybe it started when I was very, very young and I felt I want to see God. I was there and I said to my husband, I want to know everything. I want to know the truth. I'm not happy with that life because it's too boring and it cannot be the sense of being. I want to know God. I want to know the truth. And he was laughing at me and said, "You need many, many lifetimes for this." But I decided, no, I want to know the truth in this life and I want to see God. And then I was at that time listening. Yogananda, Paramahansa Yogananda was for me somebody who I thought I would like to be like him. He has an aura which is so beautiful, so divine that I also read his books. And there I saw a picture of the old Haidakhan Baba. For me, it was the old Haidakhan Baba. And I thought, I want to meet him. And maybe 2 years later, a girlfriend of mine from Switzerland, she was showing me a picture of the Babaji. And I thought, yes, is my Baba. I have to see him. And it's the same who's in the book. But I felt people from the Paramahansa Yogananda Society didn't accept this truth. So for me, I thought, never mind, for me, it's the real Baba. And then I was not a big meditator, but I sat for 5 minutes and said, "Baba, when can I come to see you?" And I was very surprised. A date was written before me, but that was 2 years later. And then I said to my husband, "I have a date." And I was a little bit afraid because I thought, I've never been to India. I hope Baba doesn't call me alone. But I said, "Go and sit, please, and see what Baba tells you. Maybe we can come together." And write it down. I wrote down the date and also my husband's date. And he came out after 5 minutes and we had the same date 2 years later. I was a little bit sad because 2 years seemed a long time. But I felt at that time Baba was preparing us very much. He gave us really good teachings where we really could feel it's Baba. It's like growing a little bit more self-confidence and also listen more to my heart. And then after 2 years, we went to Baba and we had some funny stories. Of course, it's not, at that time, 50 years ago, it was not so easy to come to Haidakhan because we had to go through the river several times and really we had to be concentrated on the mantra because the river was a little bit strong. And but it was beautiful. Haidakhan was beautiful. And the first meeting with Baba, he was standing up the stairs, these 108 stairs where you have to go up. And we went up and he stood there. He had such a divine presence. And maybe I can tell this also. My husband before that said, for me, he's the Baba, but I will not bow down because this is not my style. But when he saw Babaji standing there with the full power and the divinity, he also bowed down very much. And this was the beginning. And the time there was very special. I cannot describe in some sentences. One could write a book about it. But it changed my life, of course. It was like before Baba and after Baba. But it's not just like this, it's a process. So then I went every year to see him in Haidakhan and also here in Chilianola. And now, over 20 years, I flew nearly every year to India. And then I made a stop because I thought it has not to be India anymore. But then much later I thought it has to be India, because now it's very special place and the energy here is so high that you can grow very intense. It's really like being in a, I don't know the word, it's really a tough process, but very beautiful, and it becomes easier the more you grow. The more you are in harmony with the divine, the more things flow easily. But in the beginning, of course, there was much with the ego. We had to learn, and one thinks, I'm this, I'm that, and you realize that God cannot be described, and He's for everything probably something else, but we all are his children, and when we open our hearts and become like children in a way, then He gives us everything. Spirituality for me is not something else, it's everywhere. And but the problem is that every one of us has to become one with nature also, and one with God. It doesn't matter if if he says it's God or it's this intelligence which is everywhere. It's important to go the own way, but it's important that we really get conscious, very much conscious of all. Because for me, it's this time with the high technology, is a big danger for world, and for me, is now very important that we all pray really earnestly for peace for the world, because it makes a difference, but we have to do it. Actually, Babaji can change it in a glimpse, but he won't do it until we really work on that, everybody in his own way. It doesn't matter if we take Om Namah Shivaya or Jesus Christ or whatever, but we really have to pray for a betterment and for the peace of the world. It's so important, because so many people say, I'm spiritual. It does not help if we don't do it, what we have to do. For me also, when I pray here, I do it like, I don't pray only for myself now. In the earlier years, yes. But the more I grow, actually, the more I pray for the whole. Because as long as we don't respect really nature and hurt animals or hurt people, we cannot really find God. It's impossible, because God is everywhere. And when you watch in nature all the birds, the flowers, only by thinking. So an intelligent person, it doesn't be a spiritual person, doesn't have to be somewhere a religion. Only by watching what nature is, what nature produces, we really must bow deeply. There is an intelligence in the universe which we cannot reach unless we really become humble and respect that there is another power here, a supreme power. And Babaji for me was this like a symbol for the truth, for the whole. He was for me Param Brahman. Yeah, when you come in contact with Baba, you even can go away for some years, but you never forget him. It's impossible. And this longing is here and stays here until you really have found him. But I remember many things, because he taught us in a very simple way. So simple that he could use 2-3 words, and that was sometimes many years later, it came in my mind and I understood it. I didn't understand maybe at the moment that he said it to me, but later I understood it. And for me, at this time, not what was, but in this time, for me, the most important thing is the mantra, because I realize more and more that the power of the mantra can really change the world, but not if we just do it. We really have to do it deeply and tell Baba or tell God or whatever you want to tell, but tell that it must change now. It really must change. Otherwise, there can be atomic bombs who destroy everything. And how silly is mankind? How silly are we? We don't realize the power of the mind also. And this is the biggest things we have really to do now, to then also pray to Baba that he may stop this instructional period. And we can change it, but we really have to do it. It depends also on us. And he also said that the mantra Om Namah Shivaya is stronger than the atomic bombs. Of course, this gave me all the time strength. I'm not so afraid of normal things, but the atomic bomb was for me something which I was afraid. And I remembered what Baba said. And then I thought, but why still is there this big danger? Because maybe we really have to be on a point where we realize we cannot do it just by thinking somewhere peacefully. We really must use the word. And for me, Om Namah Shivaya is the most powerful word. And this can really change the atmosphere. It can change us. And we are so many spiritual people. So why we should come together. And I also I want to say that because I was and saw the ashram of Amachi in the south, and she was for me an inspiration, also a big inspiration, because she does so much. And Baba always pointed us for karma yoga, which means actually work. But work is a very holy thing because it's not what we work, it's how we work. And if we really work from the heart, and you know, I'm not also always repeating the mantra when I have the work. I do my work very properly, but the more we do the mantra, the more it accompanies us also during our work. And then it becomes an incredible power and a wonderful experience also. And if we want to experience Baba, we really have to surrender. Otherwise, if we think I'm the best, I have the full power, then we don't, because we have to realize who is the real power, and that is really, for me, God. But I can come together with him, and then everything is going easily. Bole Baba ki jai.